Tuesday. It is Tuesday, April the 21st, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. So April 21st, hosts several national holidays, most notably National Kindergarten Day. National Kindergarten Day celebrates the birthday of Frederick Wilhelm August Froebel. He was the founder of the first kindergarten in 1837. Remembering my own kindergarten experience, we had a teacher named a lady was named Mayette. I don't know how you spell it. I don't know how she spelled it, but I can tell you she was tough. She held kindergarten in the basement of a church. And did I say she was tough? Man, she was real tough, but you learned. My first day, my parents took me there and left me there. And boy, I cried. And when I started crying, Mayette told my parents to go on about their business. She said, I got him. Don't worry about it. And she did. It was one of my best educational experiences. And after the first few days, I couldn't wait to go to kindergarten every day. So thank you, Mayette, for being forward and interested enough to teach rambunctious 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Another observation on this day is National Library Workers Day, observed on this date to appreciate one of my favorite places and groups of people, library staff members. Our G-list guests today are Sterfon Demings and Steve and Kim Simmons. They are financial professionals who are here today on a mission to empower people to build financial confidence and long-term wealth. And we look forward to having that conversation. So our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. So let's catch up to Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Girl continues to customize a solution that fits your needs. So good morning to Anthony Tedeschi and all the people who are joining us this morning and who are in the chat. Thanks for being with us again. So let's go to the roundtable and do our roundtable discussion this morning with Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Gossam. I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. What's going on in your world?
Well, Tom, I'm trying to recover from my trip to Mobile. I went to Mobile over the weekend and went to help celebrate my god sister. Celebrated her 70th birthday over the weekend. Had a big celebration given by her children, Loretta Reese. And so we had a wonderful, wonderful time. It was great to see a lot of family and friends. And my brother and sister and I got a chance to spend some quality time together. So it was a great trip. Had a good time. And yeah, and there's a couple of other birthdays that last week that I didn't get a chance to mention. My cousin, William Wallace Smith, better known as Wally, celebrated his birthday on last week. Tony Vines, my dear friend Tony Vines, is celebrating her birthday today. And the princess of Best Girl, Dr. Joyce Gilly-Gossam, celebrated her birthday on Sunday. So happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday to all of them.
She had her birthday on Sunday, and she had a nice time and had a lot of congratulatory remarks from people. So,
wonderful. She deserves it.
Yeah, she appreciates it. Morning, Michael Walker. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, TG. I'm doing well. Barbara, how are you this morning?
Doing fine, sir. And how are you?
I am doing well also.
And Michael, I think you're out in the West somewhere this morning, aren't you?
Yes, I'm out here in Vegas, as they say.
All
Viva
right.
Las Vegas. Um, Michael Corleone asked me to come out here and talk to Fredo. You know, I had to come out here and
You got to
have a
get Fredo
conversation.
straight.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, Michael, you got some work to do.
I know it. The Gambino family, they're all trying to move to AI and bring it into organized crime. And so
Mm.
that's what Corleone wants to do. Fredo don't want to get with the program.
You got your work cut out for you.
I had a guy who actually, you, Barbara, are all Auburn alums. This guy was an Auburn alum, and he was in the television business. And I had invited him when I was living in Birmingham. I invited him to Birmingham to speak at the Rotary Club, and he at the last minute he couldn't come. And so the way the Rotary Club worked at that time was if you invited somebody and they couldn't come, then you had to give the speech.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I gave the speech, but he owed me then. And so he called me up later and he gave me 2 tickets to the Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas, his first fight when he got out of prison.
Wow.
And man, that was an incredible night. He gave us these incredible tickets. And Pamela Anderson, James Caan, Al Pacino were all sitting right around us and stuff. And people were bringing us stuff. It was a heck of a night. That was my last, I had been to Vegas once or twice after that. But that was just a great and wonderful Vegas trip. And I have to tell you this part. So I called my friend Roy Shivers out there, and Roy ran the World League team in Birmingham. And Roy, I said, Roy, I got 2 tickets. If I give you a ticket, can I stay at your house? And he said, come on. And so Roy and I went to the fight, but Don King had this big party before, after the fight, before, I don't know what it was. But anyway, Roy has these 2 beautiful daughters. And so we took his daughters with us so everybody could see us with these 2 beautiful young women. And there were a lot of NBA players, young basketball guys in there. As soon as we got in there, those girls left us, man. I said, Roy, where'd they go? He said, I don't know, man. They didn't want to be with us anyway. That's my Las Vegas story. It was a great time. So what's happening with you, Michael, besides being in Vegas? What you doing in Vegas?
Well, I just came out for a meeting. There's a large meeting here called Medicarians, and it's an association that focuses on people that are Medicaid age and what have you, like that, and bringing people up to date about what's going on with rules and regulations with Medicare. So I had to come out for a meeting. I'm meeting with some people. So it was just a quick turnaround meeting. Flew out yesterday. I fly back tomorrow. So
Okay,
yeah, just trying to handle business. Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna get a chance to visit in the casinos while you're out there, Michael?
Well, I mean, you can't walk through the lobby without seeing casinos, the
Yeah, I was gonna
machines.
say you can't walk to the airport without seeing some machines.
Yeah, as
so.
soon as that happened yesterday. As soon as I got off the plane and walked into the airport, there were the machines.
Right
I'm like, here they go.
Right there.
And people just standing there doing it. So it's everywhere you go,
They want to take your first and your last. So, coming in and going out, they want you to put some money in those machines.
That's right.
I'm telling you, man, and getting here and checking into the hotel, it drove me nuts. There were only 2 people at the desk. It took about an hour just to check in.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
That many people in line?
A bunch of people in the line, and it was just 2 attendants checking people in. It took me almost an hour to get to my room, and then I get here and I'm trying to get ready for today and do some work, and couldn't find the passcode for the internet. So I call on the phone.
No answer.
Let me switch you over. No, I'm gonna switch you over to the internet supporter and all that. Hang up. Did it 2 times. And hung up. By now I'm how I am. I'm kind of short-tempered with that.
Right.
So I said, okay, let me just go downstairs to the front desk. When I get down there, They have like 10 terminals for automatic check-in and check-out. It's lined up. And they got one little lady there, and then the other 2 people down there lined up. I'm like, this place is nuts, And I finally got one lady that was passing by to sneak in the back, and I said, I just want to get the password to the internet. She said, okay, what's your last name and your room number? And I gave it to her. And I'm sitting there waiting on her. She says, well, that's it. I said, that's the password? I said, well, why didn't somebody tell me this?
Right.
I don't know. She goes, I don't know. And she took off.
Oh, man.
That's frustrating. Oh,
yeah. Wow. Well, at least you got to talk to somebody, because
Right.
you don't get to talk to anybody.
I was gonna say, when he said he kept calling, I'm thinking, man, a lot of times you don't even get an answer.
Yeah.
I know.
I was trying to call a retail establishment on Sunday afternoon to find out what time they close, and I can't get anybody answers. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they're closed. My brother came in and I said, hey, what time does such and such close? He said, they don't close until 6 o'clock. I said, I've been calling since 3. Nobody's answering. So I just passed there. They're open. Like, that's crazy.
Hey, thinking and talking about crazy, have you heard about the 11 scientists that have disappeared over the last couple of years?
I heard something about that, but I don't know any details. Go ahead.
Of them?
Yeah. These are scientists that have high level of security and involvement in like our space programs, our nuclear energy programs for defense, and all of this type of stuff. And since 2022, they have either been disappearing, and some of them supposedly committed suicide, and some of them, were just killed. So there's a lot and now it's kind of the story's getting some traction. They've been trying to keep it down low, and so Trump was asked about it, and he was like, well, we're going to have to look into that and stuff. There are conspiracy theorists out there that are saying that it could be, of course, it's going to be Russia, China, or whatever. But let me just put it this way, our adversaries that are trying to, take out the people that give us our superiority when it comes to that type of stuff, to level the playing field, and you remember not too long ago, I think it was in Cuba, where the Americans were at this building where they were working down, and this sound kept coming in and it affected their brains and they were having headaches, stuff like that. Okay, so you never know, but that's very interesting and these people, they would just vanish without their cell phones or anything like that, which was highly unlikely.
That is unusual.
Yeah,
that reminds me of a story, Michael. I think there's several like doctors and scientists who are like close to finding cures for certain diseases and illnesses, and the same type of thing. They're just sort of disappearing, and of course, people are thinking maybe some of these big pharma companies are getting rid of these folks because they stand to lose a lot of money as a result of finding a cure for something that they're making tons of money, millions and zillions of dollars off of right now. So.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Wow, man. No.
It is.
You'll hear more and more about it. It is kind of crazy. Speaking of making money, there's a guy in Atlanta. He has to show up for court. He played football at the University of Alabama. His name is Luther Davis.
Yeah, I was just got to talk about that, Michael. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Fill it in, Barbara.
This former Alabama defensive lineman Luther Davis is facing federal charges for allegedly impersonating 3 NFL players who he fraudulently received loans using their names. They had no clue what was going on. I think these are his former teammates at Alabama.
Well, some of them are, except for one of them is the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix. Wow. And you know how Michael Penix wear a do-rag all the time?
Right.
This dude, he put on a do-rag and stuff. Yes. And went into the bank. He got $20 million.
Did he really?
He used fake IDs, made up fake IDs and everything. And, this is, like, he took a lot of time to think through all of this.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
And something happened, and they were calling Michael Penix about it and stuff, and he was like, "I'm a victim."
Yeah, right.
Wow. You never know, man. You just have to be, and when they say protect your passwords and all that, it's a pretty serious issue.
Yeah, but this wasn't even passwords. He pretended to be these individuals. I mean, making up fake IDs.
We walked in the bank.
Walked into the banks. Yes, walked into these banks and walked into meetings with these people, pretending to be these other individuals, and secured all these loans and got all this money, and of course didn't pay any of it back. And now they're coming after the real people, and they're like, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why Michael Phoenix said he was a victim. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
This dude puts a do-rag on and his cap. It's hilarious.
He started this stuff like in May of 2023 and continued through October of 2024. So, there was an extensive period of time that he was doing this and didn't get caught. He probably thought, okay, I'm scot-free. I can keep on. And it finally caught up with him. But you have to know that at some point it's going to catch up with you.
And if you think that story is wild, check this one out. An Atlanta man is charged in $100 million from stealing money from the IRS in identity fraud. He and another guy, they had this type of scam going where they were able to go into CPA's databases and get tax ID numbers and see based on tax returns and how much money was being returned to these individuals. And then they would turn around and change the addresses and stuff and pretend to be these individuals. And they had done this over a period of time, and it has totaled to $100 million of fraudulent IRS tax returns. Now, one of them was from Nigeria. You knew that, right?
Wow.
Why you say that?
Yeah, I didn't know, but thanks, Michael, for telling us. Wow.
Well, it's true. It is.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
You just think about this. These people are that smart that they can sit down and think of this stuff.
Yeah.
Just think what they could do if they were to channel that into a positive direction. And
that's what most criminals are. They're really smart. They just channel it the wrong way.
Some of them are smart. Some of them, if you ever watch Forensic Files, those people aren't very smart at all. They go buy the gun on Monday and shoot the person on Tuesday, and
leave notes out all along the way. Yes.
Good morning, Robert Smith. It's good to have you with us. Michael Smith is on here this morning.
Morning, Smitty.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Crump, Antley, and happy birthday to Anthony Tedeschi. His wife says his birthday is tomorrow. So Anthony,
happy birthday, Anthony.
Yeah, good morning. So who else? Barbara, you got anything else?
I do. I've got some good news to share with you guys. Billionaire philanthropist Michael Bloomberg, via his organization, joined City Fund in committing $10 million each, totaling $20 million to Black public charter schools created through partnerships with historically Black colleges and universities. So the UNCF is going to serve as a key partner in this initiative. And so they're going to be supporting these public charter schools and build a pipeline between those schools and HBCUs. And that's a wonderful thing to read about.
That is.
Yeah.
We had the Dixon School on, was that last week or week before?
Last week.
Well, we bought tickets to one of the kids' shows next weekend. So we're going to go.
Wonderful.
They're having a play on the campus there, and so we're heading out to see it. So
that's awesome.
It should be good. Yeah, that was just a wonderful show having them on.
Yes,
it was great. Great guest.
Yes. Tom, you were talking about the library. I remember that was almost like, as a kid going to the library, it was like you going into like another, like on an adventure because of the books in there and being able to go find a little cubby hole and just get immersed in learning, something that you're reading and stuff.
Yeah.
And you remember when you first got your library card, how
Yeah,
proud
man. I do. I do.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And I
Yeah.
remember the first time my mom took us, and I just wanted to get all the books, and she was like, "Okay, now you got to limit it to certain number. You can't take all of them home with you at one time." But I was so excited.
Yeah, it was so cool to have that and enjoy that. And then you got a chance to go to the library by yourself. You look like you're doing research and stuff.
We were talking about the community of Titusville in Birmingham. We lived in Titusville when I was little, and my mom took me to the library, Titusville Library, right there on Center Street.
Yes.
Now that was my first experience, and you're right, man. It was just like a whole new world had opened up. And boy, I could check out as many books as I wanted, and I could read them in a certain amount of time and take them back. And I love libraries, and library was kind of my salvation, one of my salvations when I was in college, and we were playing football, and that was my escape, was to go to the library. To get away from everybody.
You may have been the exception, because I know some athletes at Auburn that didn't know where the library was located even after they graduated. So
very true. That's why I went, because nobody was going to bother me there.
Right.
That's so funny, Tom. You talk about the library, one of your salvation, one of your escapes. It was for me too. But in this particular situation, it was of a different type of escape. I was in high school, and I was dating somebody that my grandmother didn't approve of. And so I was getting ready to go, and my grandfather called me over. He said, "Hey, come here, let me talk to you." He says, "Word has it, you're dating so-and-so and so, and your grandmother's not happy about it. So when you leave tonight and say you're going to the library, you need to go to the library, because after you leave to go to the library, we're going to get in the car and drive over there to the library and see if you're there." Okay. I said, okay. He said, "So you need to be there." So sure enough, I was probably about 10 in the 10th grade, and I just got my first car. So I was like 15. So I'm going over to Auburn University Library to study. As fate would have it, there was a parking space right out front of the library. I parked my car right out in front, went upstairs, and tell them how you can go upstairs to the library and go to the side where you can look out and see people coming in. Mm-hmm. I got a table right there, and I'm sitting there with a book. And sure enough, about 20 minutes after, I saw that car come cruising through there, and he stopped. He stopped so she could look at it, and I could see her looking around and looking up, but she couldn't see me looking right at her. And then when they left, I waited about another 15, 20 minutes just to make sure they didn't circle around again. Went down.
And then you went to where you were going.
Then I went really where I was going.
Yeah, libraries are great, man. I've always been fond of them. And it opens up another world.
It does. It does. It's so fun. I wonder about kids nowadays, because everything is on the computer. Do they even go to the library?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, the local library here in Hoover is packed with kids, especially during the school year.
Is it?
Yes.
Sure.
I don't know if the teachers are forcing them to go to the library to do research or whatever, but yeah, it's always packed.
Yeah. You remember when we thought it was high tech and they had microfiche? You remember they had stuff that was on the microfilm, and you go in and ask for a book. Well, we don't have that. You need to go to the microfilm and look at that. And you go, that was pretty cool.
That was one of my work study jobs at Auburn, was working in the library one year. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was before all the technology, and trying to put all those books back on the shelves and all the microfiche and oh my goodness. Yeah. That was a tough job. Lots of work.
We had a library at my elementary school and at my high school, and we had I found this series of books called the Rover Boys, and the Rover Boys, Tom, Dick, and Sam, they were brothers, and they always had all these adventures, man. The Rover Boys out west, the Rover Boys in Europe, the Rover Boys in the Midwest. Rover Boys was doing everything and going everywhere. And I told my folks, I said, I'm going to be a Rover boy when I grow up. I want to have adventures like that. So, and I've come close. So,
Yes, that's great.
but yeah, libraries are great, man. So let's see. You guys got anything else before we move on?
That's it for me.
Okay. Well, let's go to Sean. She's got a minute, and then we'll come back with our G-list guest. Sean, you got a minute for us out there?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's Tuesday, so let's talk about something real. Let's talk about how here on Tuesdays with Tom, we acknowledge and celebrate a lot of birthdays. And birthdays aren't just about getting older, they're about being seen. It's one day where we pause and say, I'm glad you're here. Not for what someone does or for what they produce, just for who they are. And maybe that's the real invitation, to celebrate people while they're living and not just on a date that reminds us that they are. So today, reach out to someone you love, say the kind thing, give the flowers, literally or not, and let them feel like they matter right now. Because celebration shouldn't be rare, it should be a language that we speak often. So that's it. That's your minute. I want all y'all to go out and have a great day. And if you don't want to, then don't. And don't go ruin anybody else's, because we can do that for ourselves. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
As usual, that was great.
Yes.
We appreciate what you do. So let's go to the G list now. Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list. Our G list guests today are financial professionals Steve and Kim Simmons and my good friend Sterfon Demings. They're on a mission to empower people to build confidence and long-term wealth. That means, what does that mean? Well, it means eliminating debt, building assets, and creating lasting financial security. Through retirement planning, asset protection, and financial education, they're bringing clarity and purpose to everyday financial decisions. So let's welcome our G-list guests, Steve, Kim, and Sterfon.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you very much.
And how you guys doing?
Doing good. You know, Mr. Gossman, I just want to say real quick, you know, I was listening to what you were saying in regards to the Rover Boys. And I really like that, because that's what we want to do. You know, both Kim, myself, and Sterfon, because we're in the financial services industry, we really want to help people to go on an adventure, right? That's what we want to with our finance. We want to help people to go on an adventure. So thank you so much for providing that information.
So why don't you give us an overview of you, and then we'll get to the particular questions.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, Tom, you know, I'm putting on a different hat.
Yes.
These have been great mentors for me. As you know, how our industry has changed so much recently. A lot of productions are going overseas now. So in the semi-retirement phase, I was looking for some alternatives, and they were showing me how I could actually benefit myself and help other people. They came with me to help establish for my family some wealth preservation and estate planning, and you know, just showed me how I could get an education and help other people also. So I'm following their lead now.
Good deal. Well, let's explain a little bit more. When Sterfon say our industry has changed, Sterfon has been in the movie and television business for longer than I was, and we did we worked on a lot of shows together, had a lot of fun. Sterfon did hair and did a lot of the stars' hair and stuff, and one of our good friends, Alfred Woodard, and just whomever. We had a good time, and we both decided about the same time that we retired ourselves. And, and move back. So, Barbara, you got a question for the people?
I do, Mr. and Mrs. Simmons. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How did you all get started in the financial services business?
Well, I was in financial services in the San Francisco Bay Area, but more on the real estate side. And as I was helping people to get into a position where they can purchase a home, I started to realize that people just had no knowledge of how to make their money work for them, the right things to do, how to build wealth. So I decided I really want to help people do this, and especially because the experience that we had in our family, we weren't learning this in school. No one was volunteering to teach us. So how do we get the information we need? I really wanted to be a part of the financial industry so I could educate and empower.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Let me ask you, and either one of you can answer this question, or maybe each of you can take one of them. What are the 3 rules of money?
I'll start with rule number 1 is compound interest. That is the money growing itself. Everyone's money should be earning compound interest. We work hard for the money really should be working for us. We'll talk about that a little bit more too.
And another one is dealing with taxes. I mean, all of us just have to deal with taxes just recently. We don't want to have to deal with it, but hey, it's there. So that's one of the other ones.
And learning to save. Learning to
I'm sorry, say that again.
learning to save.
Okay. Got it.
You know, I was telling Sterfon the other day, and Michael, I'll be back to you in just a minute. When I was in high school, man, we had high school banking at our high school. You could go every Thursday, you could go in homeroom and you could save your money. And, you know, all of us who from Alabama remember Dr. A.J. Gaston, who had that saying, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. And so he always talked about saving 10% of everything that you earned, basically, so that at the end of the day, you know, sometimes people make a lot of money, but they don't have any at the end of the day for whatever reason. So, Michael, go ahead.
Well, I was going to also bring into this, and I'm sure you guys can expound upon this, is the lack of knowledge, especially in some underserved communities, about how to use insurance as a way to build wealth.
That is so true. If I can step back just one bit there to what Mr. Gossman just mentioned just a minute ago in regards to, you know, going to the bank, right? All of us have been trained and taught that saving money, go to the bank, which is a good thing. But none of us have been taught the importance of making our money work for us, making our money grow. You know, that's what we need to learn and help people. And that's why I joined my wife in the financial service industry, because we wanted to help people, like she mentioned, to empower them so that they can see ways in which they can make their money grow and work in their behalf.
And
Well, to the point you were speaking of, Michael, another thing that drew me to them is the financial literacy, because culturally, those things weren't just given to us through the family. You know, I thought about my grandfather, whereas he knew how to take care of his family, but I never forget the day I saw someone bring a paper for him to sign, and he just made an X. I never knew my grandfather was illiterate, you know. So it's the same way when it comes to finances. So many of us are not trained and taught as younger people how to take care of our money. So there again is where they come in to help us.
And to your question, Michael, a lot of people, when they think of life insurance, they think death. Death is synonymous with life insurance in their mind. However, that is not how the wealthy view it. The wealthy view it as a financial vehicle. The Rockefellers have used forms of life insurance and trust to keep the wealth in their family for 7 generations. Ray Kroc built McDonald's with money from a life insurance policy. Walt Disney built Disneyland with money from a life insurance policy. So wealthy people, they view it as wealth. They view it as generational wealth, but also personal wealth because it's a financial vehicle. Just have to know how to use it. I call it the Swiss Army knife. It can be used in so many different ways, whereas most people only know the one way to use it.
Right.
I think a lot of people, people brag about how much money they make. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how much money you keep.
Right. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And a lot of times death is a topic no one wants to talk about
Yeah,
it. We
yeah,
hate to talk about it. But
yeah.
you think about it, someone wants their family to be wealthy, but they don't feel they can do it. A lot of cultures, they realize I'll let the life insurance company make my family wealthy. I'll give them a little bit while I'm alive, or maybe more than a little bit. But when I'm gone, they can be the ones that make my family wealthy. They can give my family 500,000, a million, put that in a trust and create generational wealth with it. There's so many different ways to use it as a financial vehicle.
Huge,
Talk
huge.
about generational wealth. You
Yes.
guys, one of
Mhm.
you guys talk about that?
Yeah. So one way to start that is, you hear people talk about, generational wealth. How can we build or start generational wealth? But one big thing that is huge with families is they feel that, well, if I have a will, then everything is going to be okay. Well, a will is just instructions to the court for you to go to probate, right? So probate is going to cost you anywhere from $15,000 plus. However, if you build a contract, which is through a trust, now you're starting to build generational wealth because now the trust, the family can put homes, they can put all other assets, insurance policies, you name it. Everything goes into trust, and now the trust acts as an attorney when you're no longer around.
Mhm. And it creates that generational wealth because you're the one that decides how you want your assets passed down through the generations.
And funny, I'll give a little experience. This past weekend, my wife and I had an opportunity to kind of talk to a couple in regards to how they can build generational wealth for their grandchildren. And they didn't know that built inside the trust, they can set instructions for those children based upon age. So the idea is not to give an 18-year-old $250,000, right? Because where's the money going to go? It's
New
going
car.
to, right?
First thing will be a new car.
It's the
Right.
new car. Where are those Nikes? Where are those
Yeah, I was
Nikes?
going to say new Jordans or something. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So the idea was inside the trust, the family is now setting certain ages and certain times when the children are going to start receiving funds from the trust. That's how you also build generational wealth, so that the family does not exploit the money all at once.
And that's something that, again, with my son, now I'm learning and I know people do what they know.
Mm.
Mhm.
My grandfather, based on his father, who was a former slave, did the best he could.
Mm.
And so what my grandfather passed on to my father was all he had.
Yeah.
So that, again, the knowledge is a valuable part of generational wealth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Huge.
Well, speaking of life insurance and doing the trust and what have you, another tool that some business people can use is you've heard of key man insurance, where there's two partners in a business or something like that, or it could be an owner of the business and he have a person that is a key employee and puts key man insurance on that person, and then if something for whatever happens, businesses change and that person leaves or something like that, that insurance policy will allow the owner to replace him and put the money there to go out and hire another individual. Or also, like some seniors are doing now, where they had term life policies. And now that they've gotten in advanced age, they don't necessarily need the term life policy. You can turn around and now sell them for a portion of the face value. of the term policy and then use that for long-term care. Some people are doing that, but it's so many different opportunities to take advantage of insurance to build wealth.
So true, Michael. And so glad you mentioned the key man insurance. That's so important for business owners. Another thing really important for business owners when they have partners is the buy sell agreements. Because if one of them should pass, his portion will pass to his family. What will they do with it? Whatever they do with it could have the potential to affect the business negatively. So the buy sell agreement allows the partners to buy out that partner's share, and then that goes to their family where they keep the business intact.
Right. And almost works as a right of first refusal because of that buy sell agreement in there. So,
Right.
yes, absolutely.
I have a question about at what age should individuals start focusing on financial planning, and is it in high school, is it college, or is it once they have their first child? What would you suggest that people start looking at their financial planning for their families?
I think that's a beautiful question. If I could start first, I think a person should start as soon as they have their first job, right? I remember my dad, that's what he taught us. My dad, my parents, they taught us, first of all, save money for you first, put money in the bank. And I remember my mom always had this one saying. She said, baby, if you have 20 cents in your wallet, you're never broke, right? So start saving now. It's important for them to start saving now. But at the same time, I'm going to retract to what I was saying earlier. It's important to help those young people now too to see how their money can work for them. Because not trying to knock any bank. I'm not trying to knock any bank. But when you go to the bank, they're only going to give you 0.25% on your savings account.
Right.
Or if it's a high yield, it's 0.5%, right? Or if you get one of those high money market accounts, 1.25% comfortably. So we want them to start learning, finding ways in which they can make their money grow for them. 3%, 5%, 8%. We want them to make their money work in their behalf.
And with parents with their children, wealthy people, as soon as that child is born, then they start thinking of their financial future right away. And people think, oh, I'm not wealthy. We're not wealthy. We're just kind of trying to get by. That's fine. Even if it's small, small can grow big over time. So the minute that child is born, the parents should start thinking of their financial future.
And part of that financial future is to save money for them to go to college one day. So that you don't wait until they're 19 years old
Right.
and then try to figure out where the money's going to come from and end up with a lot of debt sending people to college.
Yeah. You brought up start saving for their child. This is a little experiment I did when my wife was pregnant with my daughter. And when I first learned that she was pregnant, I had a big jar like this that had pennies and dimes and nickels in it. So what I decided to do then was every day that I come home from work, whatever amount of $1 bills I had in my pocket, I put in that jar. And I did that until the time that my daughter was born. And then by the time she was born, I had saved up exactly $1,100 in $1 bills for her to start. And I did the same thing with my son. But when relatives would say, okay, well, we want to buy the baby something, I say, buy a savings bond or just give money. And I continue to do that. So by the time each one of them were born, they came into the world with some money in them on their hands. Yeah.
Beautiful, Mr. Walker.
So can you got advice for people on terms of what are good investments? I know real estate's a great investment. You buy a house, it's going to make money for you over the years. But do you have that type of advice for people who are on with us this morning?
So the type of investment that's good for the person does depend on the person. It really is. There's no general way to say it, but definitely real estate. We know the real estate appreciates, especially if they keep it in good shape and they treat it like an investment. Your home is your biggest investment. Treat it like an investment. For most people, they're not going to get investment bigger than their home. Treat it like an investment. If they don't treat it like an investment, then it can actually start to lose some of its value. So real estate is great. We know in the world we're living in right now, just think what's taking off. What is the hugest thing taking off right now that is exploding worldwide? We all know what that is. So that would be a great way to invest because we know it's not going away. It's just going to get bigger, and that's technology, and especially technology that supports AI right now.
You mean A1 steak sauce?
Too with a ribeye.
AI.
I always pronounce it owl.
Oh,
Well, just quickly, you saw where the guy, which one of them, Exeth or the other one or whatever, repeated the prayer that Sam Jackson said.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
And these are the best and the brightest, right? That's scary. That's scary.
Nobody would know it,
But speaking about making your money work for you in investments, we all know that stocks is a great way to get that compound interest and grow and have your money work for you. What type of advice do you have for people that are looking to maybe invest in the marketplace and try to be a trader? How do you survive? How do you give them advice? Because I know that they have what's called the Magnificent Seven, which are like Google and Nevia and all these different companies. And the way it's constructed is guaranteed to make money. And they talk about how the stock market has performed over the years along with real estate. What advice do you have for anybody on that?
So I am securities licensed, and due to regulations, I cannot really give investment advice. But personally, what I will say is from a personal experience, know what you're doing, understand, get help. Don't get your advice from social media. Don't just do what somebody in the family is doing and it seems like it's a great idea. Have to know what you're investing in, have to understand the risk as well as the reward, because high rewards come with high risk. There is no such thing as safe investing. There are good investments for sure, like there are bad investments. I'm just going to give a little personal story. My dad was an engineer for about 40 years. He worked for the power company. When he retired, he did get a substantial retirement. He took it as a lump sum against our advice, but that's what he wanted to do. He took it as a lump sum because my uncle had this wonderful investment that was returning him thousands of dollars a month. And it was. And my dad joined him, and he did start making thousands of dollars a month off of this investment. So it seemed like the best thing ever. And that did go on for some time. But guess what? They didn't fully understand it. They didn't know that the underlying investment behind that was venture capital. So once the venture capital was all gone, the business never turned a profit. So they lost everything. So truly understanding every aspect of what you're investing in and not just going based on what looks good on the surface, that's very important. And that's so personal to me.
And Michael, where you are now, people come and try to make investments, but they don't always work out the best way, and that's not based on knowledge. That's just, it feels good.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go down and invest a penny in the penny slot machine. And see
Do your research.
That's
how
right.
do people get in touch with you guys if they want further information?
Yeah, Mr. Gosman, one of the best ways that someone can get in contact with us is through a phone call, right? They can call us at 925-381-9291, or they can reach us via our website at sakfin.com. That's SAKFIN.com. Or they can give us another phone call or reach us here locally at our office at 4137 Carmichael Road, here in Montgomery, Alabama.
Sounds good.
And I understand you guys have an event coming up on Monday, Finance in a Flash 15-minute webinar. Talk
Yes,
about that. Give us the details on that.
yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Well, this is my opportunity to say, hi, I'm coming into the business. It's a quick webinar, but just to gain interest and some traction and hitting a few key points that people would want to know concerning their personal finances
Okay.
and how to grow them, how to protect them, how to put money in their pocket, how to find money. Yeah.
Right. And how can people join this webinar?
I think you guys have the information there,
Here it is.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
And Chuck can share that.
Yeah, they can share that and they can register. And it's all free. Anyone to come. And you know, just like Sterfon just mentioned, you know, one of the biggest things that we're going to do in this webinar is help people to find money in their pocket. I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to find money in your pocket, right? And so once we find that money, we want to show you how to use it. What best ways or channels that you can use it to help it grow on your behalf. So we're super excited about sharing that.
Awesome.
I have an issue. I'd like you if you could answer this for me. Help me to understand the value in crypto. I don't understand how people are making money on it. You know, and when I say that, there's nothing behind it that supports it, in other words. So how's it going to become a digital asset for you? And it's not, you know, we talked about real estate, we talked even about stocks, but now there's crypto. Can you explain that to me?
But just from like a layman's terms, I would say crypto is digital money. So the world seems to be going digital right now. Is not regulated enough. There's not the infrastructure for it to become the main source of currency right now. But it's becoming. I just view it kind of like the electric car. Back in the 70s, it was a great concept, maybe a good investment, but it was definitely one that people had to sit and wait. They had to sit on it and wait for it to have its day. So just from a personal perspective, not from a financial advisor point of view, just from a personal perspective, we believe it will have its day eventually once the infrastructure and the regulation is there for it.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else before we wind up? We want to thank you guys for being with us and for the information. There is, we've got the webinar information in the chat, so people who are interested figure out how to get to it and so on and so forth. Any final comments from you guys?
just want to thank you so much for having us on. I will say this also, Tom, just like their mentors, I have considered you a mentor coming from, to see you come from the business world, go to the acting world, and back to the business world. It's just always been inspirational for me, and just thank you for the big brother aspect also.
I'll just say this about my time in Los Angeles, in the world of Hollywood. Thank God you were there, because I had somebody I could depend on and lean on, and you were always that. So, and we had a great time. Some of it we can't talk about, but we had a great time.
And I also like to say to Michael, be careful and don't wear a do-rag anyway.
Yeah, somebody's already done that. I'm not going to repeat that. I get caught right off the bat.
Okay, well,
Thank you all so much.
Yeah,
thank you for
thank
having
you all
us.
so much.
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks for
Thank
being with us. All righty. I've been trying to get you to come on with us now. So I'm going to call you again. Hopefully you can schedule with us and come on, because you were one of the first entrepreneurs that I knew personally. And we're always hustling, always making money. And you inspired a lot of us. So we'd love to have you on, man. So my closing comment for today, or as I see it, is about history. You know, you can run from it. People can say today, we don't talk about it. You can lie about it, or you can dodge it. But truth always finds a way to come out. And as in the story of Mary Jane Mae West. Mae West was a famous American actress, top of the line. This was like in the 30s and 40s. She was a singer, a comedian, a screenwriter, and a playwright, and her career spanned more than 7 decades. She was recognized as a prominent sex symbol of her time. She was known for portraying sexually confident characters and for her use of double entendres, often deliver her lines in a distinctive contralto voice. West began performing in vaudeville and on stage in New York City. Mae was not afraid to stand out from the crowd. She exhibited that in her relationship with Albert Chalky Wright. West, the iconic Hollywood star, shared a close, long-term personal relationship with African-American featherweight boxing champion Albert Chalky Wright during the 30s and 40s. Their bond, often seen as a courageous defiance of segregation, involved Wright acting as a confidant, a protector, and a lover, and a live-in frequent companion to Mae West. I didn't know about that. Anyway, that's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-list guests, the Simmons, and my good friend Sterfon Demings. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, and Michael and Joyce. And as always, a special thanks to you, the audience. And that's it for this April 21st in the year 2026. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. You got an extra smile, give it to somebody. It just might make their day. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Don't let a day go by that you don't take the time to make your life or somebody else's life better. Stay safe. Blessings. Peace.